Hi, Trailblazers. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. And you just got to hear all the good things about my favorite friend. And Pratik helped me so much on my Trailblazer journey, primarily showing me how much he believed in me. And that's why I'm here today. It appears that this session is all about me, but in reality, it's all about you. I am making you a priority on my Fridays, week after week. This is our third session on a Friday, and we're going to have two more. So this session is about you, Trailblazer. It's about me sharing with you the tips that I learned on my journey. I'm going to share with you 3 tips for how to become Salesforce certified, but I also did not come empty-handed. And this is not just going to be about certifications. It's going to be about the vision for your career, what's possible for you. You probably know, if you've been following me for a while, that I'm a Christian, and the Bible says where there is no vision, people perish. And you do not have to have any kind of religion in your life to know that it's true. Where a focus goes, energy flows. If you have a vision for what's possible for you, you're going to focus on channeling your energy in that direction. And I know that Trailblazer journey can be sometimes discouraging, and you lose the track of your vision and you lose your why. And I am here with amazing guests today to fuel your why, to fuel your vision for what is possible for you and how to take small steps toward your vision so that you know that you are earning the certification to get your dream job. And then there is the next step and the next step, and you can do it. I believe in you. That is why I'm here today. So my name is Anna Szabo, and I am a Salesforce consultant at Agency 73. I landed my dream job, which I absolutely love, because I became many times Salesforce certified, built a portfolio, completed many super badges, and I created some assets that helped me position myself in the marketplace for winning. And I've been sharing during this Friday webinars with you how I did it and how you can also do it. I did it in a very short period of time, and just 108 days, I became 6 times Salesforce certified, and I ended up landing multiple offers and choosing the job I really, really love today. So my friends today are amazing people. You probably know that I do not announce who will be my guests, because the guests I have here today have achieved tremendous success, and I also have beginners in this ecosystem. And I know that if I announce that this specific guest is going to be, the other guest who is just starting may not show up because they will be intimidated. But I believe that every speaker I choose and invite to my webinars is extremely valuable, and I choose them because they contributed to my life, and I believe that they have a lot of wisdom to share with you. So I would like to invite you right now to grab pen and paper so that you can take notes, because this is going to be filled with value. Let's get started. I'm going to share with you 3 tips, like I said, and tip number 1 is shadow a professional who is working on a platform so that you can see how they use Salesforce, so that for your certification preparation, you gain comprehension. Why is it this way? How is it being leveraged? What are the challenges of doing this, this, and the other? And you can also learn about exceptions. So my first guest is JB, loved dearly in our community. She is a Salesforce application architect. It is 4 a.m. for her right now. We definitely need to thank her. So make sure you're clapping so she can see you on the screen. She is a marketing champion, golden hoodie recipient, Salesforce user group leader, YouTuber at Trailblazing Together. Make sure you subscribe to her channel, Trailblazing Together. 17 times Salesforce certified, 3 times Ranger. And question for you, JB, today is, what role do you believe certifications play in attaining career success, and what role does leadership play in your career success? And do you recommend that Trailblazers take a part in leadership in our Trailblazer community? We have about 3 minutes, 4 minutes for you to answer. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome, and the stage is yours.
Hi, Anna, and thanks for having me. And thanks for the great introduction. So to answer your question, what role does certifications play in a person's career? I would say it goes hand in hand with the experience. So if I were to ask what comes first, experience or the certifications, I would definitely say experience, but certifications add more weightage, and it serves as a testimony to what you have knowledge on, to what you're capable of doing. And for a beginner, I would say go for the certifications, because if you were to pass the level of being noticed by the interviewers, getting the foot into the door even before getting the interview, if you have to prove your worth, then certifications on your resume are definitely worth it. And to me personally, how I see certifications are a way to level up, to skill up. And when you're preparing for the certifications, you have the goal in mind and you have something to focus on. And you have a specific exam guide that you would be working on. So it serves as a way to skill up and know about the topics that you haven't worked on before, and then get up to date. So for a beginner or a professional who is trying to grow in their career, I would say certifications is one way to prove their worth and show to the world that they're capable of doing something.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just want to insert here that the reason why I brought you in for this specific tip, the tip is shadow a Salesforce professional. Shadow a Salesforce professional to help you with your certifications. The reason why I wanted to bring in JB, and you heard about her at my other webinars, everybody talks about her behind her back, because she helped so many of us, and me including, earn our Marketing Cloud certifications. When I did not have access to Marketing Cloud, I had access to JB's YouTube videos, and I shadowed her, and I shadowed her guests whom she brings for her webinars. For every little aspect of Marketing Cloud, I shadowed them. And in 3.5 weeks, yes, in 3.5 weeks, last month, I became twice Marketing Cloud certified, a past Marketing Cloud admin and Marketing Cloud email specialist, because I was following this tip. I was shadowing you on your channel, and that is absolutely what I recommend people do, that people leverage YouTube channel. So you've done so much for our Trailblazer community. What role did leadership, your leadership, play in your career success, and do you recommend that Trailblazers engage in leadership and doing things for the community to help them land their dream job?
I would definitely say, so I used to mentor, so people who reach out to me on LinkedIn, I do one-on-one sessions and mentor them in their career. For them, if they want to grow, I would definitely say, involve more in the community. And I want to give a big shout out to the community, where everybody is so passionately giving back and trying to put in their efforts to help other people whom they don't even know. And to grow in the career as well, when you're hosting an event, or when you're coordinating, or when you're speaking at an event, you hone your skills, you prepare more, and then you interact, you coordinate, you do a lot of stuff on the background. So for example, for the boot camp that I do, I nearly spend around 200 hours behind the scenes. And then I coordinate with the speakers, and I make sure that I'm up to date with the topics on the exam, and I'm up to date with everything that goes into the certification. So it helps me to stay up to date, and also the feeling of giving back to the community. So if I go back and look at the end of the day or at the end of the year, it's the gratification that I would have. And looking at the success stories, you just mentioned about your success story, and looking at all the other success stories, it gives me immense happiness, and it feels like all the efforts are paid off. And for somebody who are planning to grow in their career, I would say not just stop with learning. Go the next step and try to give back to the community. That's when you learn more. That's when you gain more. And it depends on the time that they can put in. If they have only limited time, I would say go and speak at an event, or go write a blog. And if they want to give more, and if they want to be engaged more, I would say be a co-leader to an existing group. If the group doesn't exist, go start a group. That's how you go to the next level. And to me, it personally helped a lot.
This is absolutely incredible. And I actually implemented this very tips, and this goes back with my second tip that I have. Ask for mentorship and follow your mentor's advice. JB, thank you so much for being here today. I do want to say that I thank you for not only your leadership in the community, but in my life. And also thank you so much for believing in me and blessing me with an exam voucher after I failed my marketing cloud consultant twice. You blessed me with an exam voucher for participating in your Phoenix user group on YouTube. So thank you so much. I am an official Trailhead mentor as well. And when I started my journey, I also started a local group right here in Augusta, Georgia, where I am. So I definitely say all the tips JB gave us are absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for being here at 4 a.m. your time. Tip number 2, ask for mentorship. Ask for mentorship. And this mentorship that you can ask for can be on YouTube. It can be on Trailhead. It can be on LinkedIn. And then once you get advice from your mentors, follow their advice. And sometimes you're not going to like their advice. I am inviting right now on stage Eric Johansson. Eric is a director of consulting and service delivery manager at CGI. He's a U.S. Army vet who earned numerous cloud certifications, multi-cloud professional. He's a leader and mentor in the cloud community. Welcome, Eric. And I have one question for you and about 3 minutes for you to answer. What role did mentorship play in that you received, play in your career early on? And what role did certifications you earn and mentorship that you received played in deciding for you to get certifications? Welcome.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, so mentorship, I've been very lucky having mentorship throughout my career. I joined the Army when I was 17, and I had a sergeant first class that was just outstanding. He really showed me how to be a good leader. I learned a lot from him. As far as the civilian world, corporate America, most recent mentorship was I was actually in a role where I had nothing to do with cloud. I was doing Windows Server on-prem. I was the manager there. I had an Exchange team and a Windows Server team and had no cloud experience. And but I worked very hard. I worked long hours and I was good to my people. You know, I learned a lot of that from my mentor in the Army and followed his advice. So when I met this vice president of the cloud team, you know, he saw that I was working really hard and that I was he said I was getting stuff done. So he said, you know, hey, Eric, do you have any cloud experience? And I said, no, I don't have any. And he said, do you want some? And I said, sure, yeah, I guess. And he goes, stay tuned. And about 2 months later, he calls me up and he said, you are now my cloud transformation manager. And I said, I don't have any cloud experience. I told you that. And he goes, it doesn't matter. I know you can do it. So, you know, he put his trust in me and he sent me to Azure training, AWS training, and put me in charge of moving everything from our client being on-prem to off-prem. And he said, I know you'll figure it out. So I, you know, got certified in AWS and I did a lot of studying. I watched a lot of YouTube and I was successful.
Eric, thank you so much for sharing your story. One lesson I'm taking away from your story is that your mentor believed in you and that fueled your vision for what's possible for you. And then you went on to earn your certifications because you believe that there will be a positive outcome for your new career. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when I first got in the career, before I even got into cloud, I got certified in Microsoft. I got certified in a lot of things because I was unemployed for like 6 months, could not find a job no matter what I did. I didn't have a ton of experience. I was new into IT. So I said, you know what, let me get some certifications. And I got some CompTIA, some Microsoft, and then obviously cloud. And it opened so many doors. It doesn't mean that you know more than the person, you know, that you're interviewing against, but it does get you into more interviews, which is huge.
100%. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing this. We're still continuing with my tip number 2, and that is the tip that Eric just confirmed with his story. Ask for mentorship and then do what your mentor tells you to do. I want to say this. before I was 6 times certified in 108 days, I received only rejections. As soon as I became 6 times certified in 108 days, thanks to saasguru, who is hosting this webinar today, and you can use your coupon Anna20 to receive 20% on exam prep at saasguru. Thanks to saasguru, I became 6 times Salesforce certified in 108 days. I renamed my resume. I named my resume 6 times Salesforce certified in 108 days. That was the name of my resume. And I ended up with multiple offers. I ended up with companies that were rejecting me, pursuing me for 4 different jobs after that happened. So I absolutely agree with Eric. My next guest gave me a great advice, and I said, no, I'm not gonna do it. Let's welcome on stage Kara Whitesey, Associate VP for Salesforce Recruiting at Third Republic, a Salesforce certified recruiter, a Salesforce certified recruiter. Yes, this is not a joke. He took the time to become Salesforce certified, just like you and me. He partners with hiring managers to identify top 5 Salesforce talent in the United States. And he mentored me. He took the time out of his busy schedule to spend some time with me on video. And he straightforwardly gave me his wisdom. And I said, no. He said, your background is in marketing and you need to earn Marketing Cloud certifications. And I was like, no, I have no interest in Marketing Cloud. And I ended up following his advice. And as you just heard, last month, I became 2 times Marketing Cloud certified thanks to JB. So question for Kara. Why did you advise me to earn certifications that aligned with my previous career in MarTech and transferable skills? Welcome on stage. I appreciate you so much for being here and for your contribution to my career success.
No worries. Thanks, Anna. I appreciate you putting this on and organizing it. And hey, everyone, nice to meet you all virtually. I think so. I've been recruiting Salesforce talent in the US for the last 4 years now. I've seen it go from prior to that in the UK, a couple of non-profits that we were transitioning over to Salesforce. So all in all, I've seen Salesforce in all its beauty for about 7-8 years. And it's changed a lot during that time. It went from being kind of like this noisy CRM, kind of disrupting some of the bigger players, to the CRM. And with that, a lot of people were excited about it. And with the pandemic, it accelerated those who wanted to get into Salesforce and learn, which is fantastic. And with Trailhead, I mean, that's a dream, right? Free learning, etc. So the hardest thing about Salesforce is actually getting your first job. And there's probably a few people who know that. And we've heard a few stories already. Once you get that first job, the first 6 months of experience, you're on your way, you're going up.
Can I interrupt you right here?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You said this to me and I thought, I don't know about that. It's so true. Now that I've been with my with Agency 73 for 3 months, I have so many recruiters reaching out to me, and I always tell them I am very happy where I am. Thank you so much for reaching out. May I recommend someone else to you? And I always make introductions. But you were right 100% about everything.
No problem. But yeah, I think as a recruiter, my advice is look for the quick wins, and there's a few ways you can do that. The first is what Anna said. So Anna's background was MarTech. To me, it just seemed crazy that you wouldn't do Marketing Cloud. It's a quick win. You already understand the language. You already did it for so long, right? It was your career. That why not? It's a low-hanging fruit. It's something you obviously enjoy. So go out there, get it done. And it's similar. I see a lot of people. They were a teacher in a former life, went over to Salesforce. Start with Education Cloud. You can relate to the stakeholders in those organizations. And I am one of you. And this is how fantastic Education Cloud is. And that's your break, into that space. That's your value add against the other 100 people that are maybe applying for that job. So whether you're, if you are an engineer in the field service lightning, if you're passionate about a certain nonprofit, get yourself on MPSP. And take that approach. That was the first thing. My second bit of, just general advice, breaking that boundary to your first job is you've got to leverage every virtual meetup, in-person meetup, user groups. I think now more than ever, as we kind of go into the new year, the power of referrals, that's what it's going to be about. As you know, it's not all doom and gloom, but there are less companies hiring. So you've got to make sure those people you get in front of, you're giving yourself the best odds. So if you connect to someone on LinkedIn at a company you're interviewing with, hey, can I pick your brains 5 minutes? You know, any interview prep you can offer me? Can you mind introducing me to the person who's hiring that role? Just go above and beyond. And
can I say something here? May I? Now, I was reaching out to you about jobs, and you said that you heard everybody talking about me in the ecosystem. You said I was everywhere. You did not have a job for me, but you did. I asked for your mentorship, and you said, yes, you will invest in me and you will give me your advice. And your advice was so valuable. What I'm going to say is that he's right. Listen to this advice.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And it's good to see you doing so well as well, and happy, and keep it up. And I'm a big believer in sharing your journey as well, right? I think it's not only does it inspire people, but it helps people who maybe they've had a few interviews in a row, they got rejected, like they could see your post, it might just kickstart them again on their journey. Maybe they failed the exam a couple of times. I failed my admin test loads of times. But I'd see someone else pass it and I'm like, I'll give it another shot.
Thank you so much for sharing this.
Keep at it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited. The reason why I decided to bring recruiters today, I have several recruiters for you guys from several different companies. All of these recruiters I met on my journey when I was searching for a job, and none of these recruiters gave me a job, but you can see how valuable relationships are, because even though neither of these recruiters had a job for me, because I wasn't in a place where I would need to be for their business requirements, the value they gave me was more than a job. And that is the value I am giving to you. This is the compound effect that you're experiencing from me of their leadership. Do you understand? And I wanted to bring recruiters today, so you see that they are real people. They cannot give you jobs to all of you because they have specific business requirements for which they need specific people with specific skills and experiences. But you can ask recruiters for their tips, and you can ask for their advice. And maybe you can ask how you can help. Maybe you could make some introductions from your network and you can build those relationships. And I want you to pay attention today that every recruiter who is here is a real person. And when you talk about recruiters, believe that these people have really good hearts and they're invested in our community, which is why on Friday night, they're giving of themselves to you. Our next guest is an amazing woman, Natasha Christidis, and she's a talent acquisition leader for Salesforce at Slalom, where I really wanted to work, and I wanted to work remotely, so on a global team, where she's a senior manager. She's in charge of shortlisting trailblazers for the popular global Salesforce Academy at Slalom, and she also invested from her heart into mentoring me, and I asked her 1 million questions. And she answered honestly with humility. And I cried after our conversation because it was humbling to hear her talk about the imposter syndrome, which was the question I was asking. Do you ever feel an imposter syndrome? Natasha, welcome. Thank you so much for being here on Friday night. And I have a question for you in a few minutes for you to answer. What are your 3 tips for trailblazers who are just trying to earn Salesforce certifications and land their first good jobs in this ecosystem? Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Anna, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really grateful to be here and share my perspective. And it's really funny because my first tip is actually very similar to what you just heard. My number 1 tip is specialize. If you look at the portfolio of Salesforce products today, it's evolved a lot from where it used to be when I started recruiting industry almost 10 years ago now, and especially in the last 2-3 years. And so as a result, we're seeing a lot of the Salesforce roles themselves trending towards specialization. And so, for example, if you're a career shifter and you have industry experience from a previous career, you should absolutely be leveraging that, knowing that Salesforce has a wide range of products for a multitude of industries. So totally agree with what we heard previously. My second tip, develop a professional brand. And Anna, I think that this is something you excelled at while you were job searching. And what does that mean exactly, to have a professional brand? It's really something intangible that goes beyond your resume and beyond your certs. A professional brand is about how you define yourself professionally, but it has to include some personal elements that make you unique. It has to be authentic to you. And if that feels overwhelming, if you're not sure where to start with a professional brand, I would say take a step back and do some soul searching. What do you want to be known for? And really think about that, because your brand is the mark that people are going to remember you for, and it can really communicate value to a potential employer. If you have a strong brand that's consistent, it can really open doors for you. And my last,
give us an example. What is my brand? You said that you clearly see that I have a brand. Could you help trailblazers here understand what is my brand and how do you feel about my brand?
Yeah, so you're very active on LinkedIn, Anna, and obviously the Trailhead community and with mentorship, you've been very transparent about your journey as you're going through your career search. And so even before you landed your first dream job, beyond the conversations that you and I had, I've been following your journey, and that was your brand. And now that you have landed your dream job, you're still mentoring, you're still, helping with webinars and being involved in the Salesforce community. That's your brand, Anna.
Thank you. Authenticity is very important, so that we disillusion trailblazers, so that they don't think it's all rainbows, unicorns, pink glitter, and butterflies everywhere. But this career is worth pursuing. Do you have any other tips for trailblazers?
Yeah, my last tip, networking. I'm a really big believer in networking, and we all know that the Salesforce ecosystem is close-knit. So building relationships is key. If you have a strong network, you'll be in a better position for career opportunities or to learn about career opportunities. And in my talent acquisition world, the best candidates often come through referrals. So building a network is key. And networking doesn't necessarily come very naturally to a lot of us, including myself. But you do get better at it over time. And so, go to Salesforce events, introduce yourself, express interest in the people that you're talking to, ask them what brings them to the event, because networking is a two-way relationship. But also online, recruiters spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So, participate in group discussions, comment on people's posts. But the one thing I will say about networking is it's not something that translates into immediate results. Networking is usually a longer play. The more you put in, the more you get out of it. So when you are networking, just keep in mind, you're building your relationships for long-term benefits, and it can really leave a positive impression if you network effectively.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being a part of my journey, being a part of my life. And I appreciate what you guys are doing at Slalom for the Global Salesforce Academy. I do want to say that networking has to be genuine. The questions I was asking you when we were talking about the Global Salesforce Academy at Slalom, I was asking you genuinely. And I learned so much. The main thing I learned was that I am not alone in how I was feeling on my journey. You shared with me your authentic, real, whole self, and it encouraged and empowered me so much. And I would say, when you're networking, be your real self and learn about people genuinely, not just what are they going to do for me, but ask about them as people to learn for the sake of learning and connecting. And who knows what's going to happen.
Exactly.
I appreciate you being here, Natasha. And our next guest is also a recruiter, Lisa Governale. She is a recruiter whom I also worked with while I was interviewing for jobs at Accenture for 2 different jobs, and 2 different recruiters I was working with, but I was required to move back to Atlanta, where I just moved from last year, so I couldn't move. So I'm here in Augusta, Georgia, and I don't work at Accenture, but I work at an awesome company. And Lisa is a Salesforce recruiter at Accenture. She places a high value on human capital. And she treated me as a valuable asset when we talked. And during my job interviews at Accenture, she just poured so much from her heart into me. And I cannot tell you, it just helped me flourish. It helped me believe in myself. So Lisa, thank you so much for being here. You're beautiful. I'm seeing you for the first time in my life, and I'm so excited to have you here. I have a question.
Sure.
Question. Based on your experience as a technology recruiter at a global cloud leading consulting company, what is your best advice for a newbie trailblazer trying to enter the Salesforce ecosystem and earn their certifications and land their job?
Well, that's a great question, Anna, and thank you so much for that nice introduction. I am not looking nearly as wonderful as you are in your presentation, but I busy days, just present my best self as I can. So, and I really enjoyed the recruiting experience with you. I was very disappointed we weren't able to hire. But you know, we always leave those doors open, right? And that's the value of investing in relationships with candidates. So I think also it's also to ensure people that, hey, you've got something to offer. It may not be the right fit for us at the time. Everything may not align, but it doesn't mean that someone else is looking exactly for what you have to offer. So I'm so thrilled that you've been able to land the job that you're just so passionate about. So I would say many of the comments that have been made before me are just excellent. And I made a little list of things that I would have suggested. And a lot of those same things were on my list. And it's funny, Anna, that you mentioned about shadowing someone, because that was definitely on my list. And I think that is so important. You kind of have to be a little humble and be willing to, you know, say, hey, I need the experience and I'm, you know, really looking to get it. And I'm, you know, willing to learn. We all have to be more willing to learn. Our world is changing super quickly. We never know from, you know, day to day anymore what, you know, is going to be required of us. And so really the new strategy that we use is a skill set versus, you know, maybe what your background is or maybe what your education is, but what skills can you bring to the table? So we really are looking at candidates more based on skills at this point. And our hiring process is definitely slowed right now, as we have many, you know, technology companies, but we're very optimistic that will change in the new year. And I feel like for people that are new to Salesforce, you know, as has been said, relationships are priceless. Networking will never fail you. You do have to extend yourself a bit. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, be uncomfortable, you know, talk to people that you don't know maybe, or, you know, just really, really, you know, kind of just encourage yourself to take that step, because you will be glad you do it. And I always say that networking should be done when you don't absolutely need a job, but when you really, you know, to build your network so that when you really are in need of a favor, you can call on your network. That doesn't mean that it's ever too late to start a network. And I think people underestimate the value sometimes of networking, especially with COVID, and we were all unable to do some of that. But there's new ways you can network. Everyone's really adept at virtual activities these days. So, you know, really invest in that and push yourself a little bit more. It will pay off. And then, like I said, in the future, when you need the network, it will be there for you. Also, don't forget you have to help others. So it's very important to help others along the way if you can. Very, very important. I want to make sure I go back to the question and tell, you know, what for new people, it really can be defeating and feel, you know, a bit hopeless, but you've got to stay focused and you've got to keep doing what you need to do as far as any additional education, certifications, etc. And just stay positive, because that one, all you need is one person to give you that break, and give you the opportunity to show what you can do. Sometimes you might want to even offer to volunteer to show someone what your skill set is, to do something. If you can afford to do that, it would be wise to offer your time to show someone what you can do. I would say that it's really important to look at entry-level opportunities. Even if you have a lot of experience, maybe in another area, and you're new to Salesforce, don't be afraid to look at entry-level opportunities, because those can give you a foot in the door, and it can also help promote you pretty quickly once someone sees the value you can bring. So I would highly recommend that as well. And also, as mentioned earlier, keep getting your badges and keep getting your certifications. And I would also recommend that you need to be really kind and tolerant of yourself, because we can easily get down on ourselves and, think we're the only ones that can't get a job. It's so not true. There's many, many people out there competing for the same jobs. And I've noticed that a lot of people are changing careers, and a lot of people are going into cloud-based technologies. And so, you may have a strong history of another area you've been in, but if you're going to make the change, you also have to commit to maybe starting, more entry level.
Lisa, this is so valuable. And I see people are now in live chat resonating with it, and everybody is nodding. We have 54 people right now on this call, and you just encouraged so many people. I know that this was I know that this was walking extra mile for you to be here for us, but thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much for opening yourself to this. I appreciate it.
Happy to do that. Yeah. And I would also want to mention, don't be afraid to be told no. Don't take that personally. Yes. It's very hard not to. But the more you're told no, the more you'll be resilient and be able to, maybe come back with something like, well, would you be willing to do this? Or, let me show you that. Or, hey, maybe in the future, our paths will cross again. So don't be afraid to be told no. It's not a reflection on you personally. We all 100%. Experience that word no in our lives. So don't take it personally. All right.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Sure. Thank you.
And I do want to tell every trailblazer that all these great recruiters I invited here today, who are kind enough to be here, all of them said no to me because it was not a match for what they had at the time and for where I was in my career. But the value that you can get from hearing no, don't just let it be no. Say, may I ask you a couple of questions? And get some feedback, get some mentorship. Going back to this tip we're talking about now, get some mentorship. And recruiters are kind people with humility. They would love to hire everyone. They don't like saying no. And in fact, our next guest is an amazing recruiter who also said no to me, and she did not like it at all, saying no to me. Valerie, are you here? Okay, so we are going to reroute because we have a person who is jumping from meeting to meeting to meeting. Our very special guest, Eric Stahl. He is a digital innovation leader and YouTuber, Executive Vice President of Marketing, Trailhead and Decision Science at Salesforce, Expeditioner Trailblazer, just like us, y'all. And he is a Slack star. I am currently studying for my Slack consultant certification. Wow, that's a lot. So he is a Slack star. Eric, thank you so much for making time out of your super, super busy schedule to be here with us with 54 people who are here. Question: why should trailblazers pursue a Salesforce career no matter their obstacles and challenges? Welcome and thank you for being here. The stage is yours.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. It's great to see all of you. First of all, I want to debate my ranger status, because internal to Salesforce, we have my trailhead, and I have points and badges that show up on my internal ranger status. So I'm an internal ranger and an external, like I'm just short.
Expeditioner.
Expeditioner. This is a never-ending debate. Sarah Franklin is so mad at me for not being a external ranger, but I'm an internal ranger, whatever that is. So I need to top off my points. But I will assure you all, with my internal points at Salesforce, I'm a ranger. And that's what I was shooting for. And I found out I'm a fake ranger because externally it doesn't look like I'm a ranger. So anyway, thank you so much for having me. I have been at Salesforce for almost 15 years, which I can't believe. I joined in March of 2008. I was in my 30s and I'm 50 now, so I can't believe how that happened. But I worked on our platform team, product marketing. I went over to London for 2 years and ran the EMEA marketing team. I came back and ran the web team, the website, salesforce.com. And then I went back to the product side, to Marketing Cloud. And this was when Marketing Cloud was Radian6 and Buddy Media, before ExactTarget, before a lot of things. And then I worked on Commerce Cloud and Community Cloud and a bunch of things. And then Sarah, our prior CMO asked if I would take digital, and I took the digital team, and we're doing a whole bunch of stuff with Salesforce Digital, like internally using Salesforce products, CDP, Tableau, Marketing Cloud personalization, Journey Builder, all these things I won't bore you with, unless someday, if you ever want to hear about that, we're happy to share it. And then I took on marketing operations and Trailhead. So that's a quick introduction of my crazy roller coaster ride here at Salesforce. And so I was up in Seattle this week visiting the Tableau offices, and then I was gonna pop into a community event called DevOps Dreamin', and I posted about that. And next thing I know, I'm getting outreach. And Anna asked if I could join you all on this call, so here I am. Yes, so that's just a little bit of context. You know, why a career in Salesforce? What is funny to me is back in olden times, when I moved to San Francisco in 1995, which is now kind of a long time ago, and all software was down there by San Jose, and it was all on-premise software, Oracle, SAP, Unix operating systems, all that stuff. Java, J2EE, middleware, Tuxedo, like all this stuff that we don't even talk about today. And it was really only accessible by like computer science graduates who went to, school for those kinds of things. And it's kind of a funny aside. My father has his PhD in computer science, and I am a marketer. I'm a career marketer. I tried computer science and was like, whoa, I am not cut out for that path, and that's okay. But what's cool about Salesforce, and when it came on, it was like, wait a minute. In the old world, you would have to buy hardware. You'd have to get your Unix operating system. You'd have to load up your database and your middleware, and you'd have to do all this crazy, software configuration and performance tuning, and very, very technical, very, very not inclusive, right? You had to be like a super expert computer scientist to or developer or architect or database person. And then when I started looking at Salesforce, they were like, oh, it's all hosted, which was a new idea back in the early aughts, mid aughts. So hosted was a big deal, but then they were like, it's not just that, you can point and click, and you can like click, create a custom object, click, add some fields, boom, it creates an interface like for you, and then you can provision, 100,000 users, and it just works. And
let me just make it relatable right now for trailblazers who are here, because we have trailblazers here who are just trying to enter this ecosystem. They're trying to earn their certifications, so they don't know what a custom object is at this point. Maybe. So let me just make it relatable. What Eric is saying is this. Today, we have Salesforce that has nothing to do with hardware, with you going anywhere to build anything. It's all in a cloud, and Salesforce is growing and it is expanding. And he just named a variety of products he personally has been a part of. Community Cloud is now Experience Cloud. He named CDP. This is this Genie we're talking about these days. Marketing Cloud. We talked about Field Service Cloud, all these different Education Cloud. We're going to have a next speaker from educational background. Salesforce is building for industries, and you, Trailblazer, can fit in. And when you come, this is what the executive vice president from Salesforce just told you. Clicks, not code. You can learn it. You can learn it. And there's a place for you in this ecosystem. So Eric, why should the people who are trying to earn their certification, trying to take those steps, it's a lot for them, why should they persevere when there is a lot of challenges they experience?
Yeah, so there's free learning through Trailhead. There's free access to the product. It walks you through some of the things I was referring to that might need more context and explanation, but trust me, if you can write a formula in a spreadsheet, you can do the stuff that I'm talking about. And we have all these stories of people who were in the military and they learned Salesforce and that became their career forward. They were a teacher, they were a stay-at-home mom,
we have all of those today. We have all of them today.
And like all of a sudden they have access to great paying jobs and they're providing for themselves, they're providing for their family, they're learning. And then the beauty and what we see on this call is that so many people are so appreciative of like the support they get from the community that they then themselves give back to the community and help others. And it really is this incredible community and this incredible economy of people who have access to tech jobs that just wouldn't have been within reach back in the day. And that's what's fun and kind of the beauty of it all. And I don't know the background of everyone on the call, but with some perseverance and some grit and some motivation, go to Trailhead, learn the basics of Salesforce administration, Salesforce development, setting up field service, setting up whatever. And most of these products are very, very learnable. There are some that are more dedicated to like hardcore data engineering types and all that. And we should help steer you if that's not your background, but there is a ton of material out there and there are more jobs than people. And it's really an area you want to be in a space where there's more demand than supply. And trust me, there is a massive supply of people with Salesforce skills. And so that's where you want to be investing your time.
Everybody, did you just hear this? Please write it down for yourself as you're working through those challenges, as you can't complete your super badge in 15 days, as you're trying to get that job and you experienced hundreds of rejections. Remember this is the most important thing. The demand is much higher than supply. There is space for you in this ecosystem. Eric, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you greatly. I appreciate, Pratik, you interrupting me as I was introducing our guest, Valerie. Valerie, I apologize. Eric has very limited time and he just came here briefly. So thank you so much, Eric, for making the time for us, being a part of our environment here. We can see that Ohana is real. The spirit of Ohana is here and it's here to stay. And we appreciate you greatly.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you all again soon.
I was telling you guys that the reason why I invited recruiters is because they're real humans. I want you to see it. They're very kind, and I want you to see it. And they also don't like saying no. So our next guest was a recruiter who delivered bad news to me as I wanted to work at the company and I invested a lot of effort, and she clearly did not like it. And it meant so much to me to experience just how uncomfortable she was telling me no. And that did something to me. That just made me feel so compassionate toward recruiters, because sometimes we can be angry with recruiters. Everybody's out there on LinkedIn saying bad things about recruiters. And I want you to know, guys, that recruiters are good people. Here they are. Valerie Day, welcome on stage. She's a Salesforce talent acquisition lead at Optima. She worked as a recruiter at Deloitte and LinkedIn and has more than a decade of experience in technology recruiting. Valerie, question for you. What is the value of Salesforce certifications when people just trying to get Salesforce jobs? And what is your best advice for trailblazers regarding what kind of job they should pursue as they're trying to enter the ecosystem? Thank you so much for being here. I absolutely love you.
Thank you, Anna. Oh my gosh. And thanks for inviting me, and what great advice you have already received, everybody. I think, Natasha saying specialize and networking, I mean, so important, and the getting a mentor. And, I think that, one of the important things to remember, is use your network, and that people get jobs from people they know. I mean, if you think back over your history, I look at mine, like I get jobs from people I know, right? And so that's like really like super important, is to use your network. And if you say, well, I don't have a network, well, then you can create a network, right? Like, look at, you're here on a call with 68 people. You have a network with 68 people because we're all here together, right? So, I mean, your network is just so, powerful. And, I think I'm not exactly answering your question, but just some points I feel are super important is that, you can do, like, in the category of getting a mentor, is do informational interviews with people that have the job you want. People want to help you. Everybody wants to help everybody, right? Like, we're human beings, like Anna said, and so, reach out and ask somebody to meet with you. And it's not about getting a job with them. It's about, hey, help me understand like what you do, and, do an informational interview, because then when they have a job, they're going to think of you. You're establishing a relationship, right? It's back to people get jobs from people they know. So if you're establishing a relationship, right, you're building your network, and you get like that job from people you know. And like another thing that I just want to add on, again, it's not exactly answering your question, but I feel it's so important, is that be comfortable being assertive. Like if you're interviewing for a job, follow up. Recruiters have a gazillion things on their to-do list, like we all do. So your job is to be front and center with them. So if you've interviewed and you don't hear from them, don't think like, oh, it's because they don't like me or I'm not good or whatever. No, it's that they have 50 billion things on their list. You follow up, be assertive, get in front of them, send a note, send an email, send a text, leave a call, like be in front of them, because, it's like the squeaky, wheel gets oiled, or whatever that phrase is that I'm not doing exactly right.
May I add to this, what you just said? May I just add a little something?
Yeah, please do.
So when you and I were on call, when you just called me to see if you wanted to get me into your boot camp, I was one of the few civilians whom you wanted to add to your military boot camp. And when you called me, I just gave you my elevator pitch.
Yes.
I told you hire me, and you said, wow, it's already past due into my boot camp, but you sound so passionate. I really want you in this boot camp. Let me pass you to interview, because I just hear that, wow, this is a lot of passion coming from you. So was this too much, or were you like, this is exactly what we need?
Well, I mean, you definitely like are passion, 100 plus. So, I mean, I think that's a great question, because I think it's also important to, in any kind of situation, whether it's interviewing or selling, that, it's like modeling and mirroring who you're talking to. So, you're super passionate. So if somebody's not quite as passionate, like, maybe, toning it down a bit. But then again, back to, I've heard like 3 or 4 people say on this call, you want to be authentic, right? Like, because when you're authentic, then you're establishing a relationship with a human being. So I think it's totally important to be passionate. And it's also important to think about, like, who am I talking to? And, like mirroring that on some level, but still, right, being true to yourself, right? So I think there's like a fine line, between being too passionate and not. But yeah, you were just so passionate. And I think what stands out about you, Anna, is that, you're really committed to giving back. And that is so congruent with the values of the Salesforce community, right? Is giving back, So, so to answer your question, the value of certifications, I think that JB spoke about it. I think Carol might have, I think everybody's spoken about it, is that, it's one other way to set you apart, right? If there's, 2 candidates and one person has 5 certifications and one has none, right? You're going to stand out, right? So I think certifications, and especially in this ecosystem, are super important, right? So yes, I mean, getting certified is important, and getting more than 1 certification, right? Like start with 1 and keep going, because I think it's just, a differentiator. And, it shows that commitment and that grit, right? So, yeah, I think certifications are highly important and valued in this ecosystem and can help, especially newbies, with getting the job. Or let's say you're not a newbie, but you want to transition from one, cloud to another, right? If you've got all this experience in Sales Cloud, but you really want to get into, field service, right? Getting that field service cert is gonna open the door for you, right? So, and what was your other question?
Well, this is my other question, because you were hiring for a very specific job, just one type of job, and that was CPQ. The only thing that you guys do is CPQ. So CPQ is quite advanced and Field Service Cloud is quite advanced. How should trailblazers figure out what their first job in the ecosystem should be? In which cloud, in which role? How can they figure this out for themselves?
Well, I think it's where do your skills and experience lie, right? You know yourself. So are you that technical person? Then maybe you want to go the developer route. Are you more communicative and you're better, in front of customers, clients, leadership? Then maybe you're that business analyst that's going to be skilled at gathering requirements, right? So it's really where do your interests lie, and then matching your interests and your skills. And like Carol said, it's building on, if you're going from, industry to Salesforce, right? Like with you, right? You're a marketing person. He gave you that advice. You got to capitalize on what your skills and your experience are. So one, it's where do your skills lie? And then that comes back to, right, that informational interviewing. You may not even know, you might not know, well, what cloud am I interested in? It's such a big ecosystem. So talking to people, and having those conversations. Some of you might be, external auditory processors, and as talking to somebody, you figure it out, right? Or maybe it's, through doing your certifications and, your badges you learn. But I think it's, one, what do you like? And what are the needs, in the marketplace? And remembering, what Eric said, supply and demand, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing your advice. This is extremely valuable, and I really hope that people took a lot of notes for themselves, because what the main point I'm getting is that you need to know yourself and you need to put yourself out there, and you may not know where you fit in, but go ask people about what they do. And actually, I did not have specifically informational interviews, but I had many job interviews, more than 60. And by talking to recruiters and by being interviewed stage after stage after stage, I discovered what is there to do. And that's how I learned what I wanted to do. Valerie, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you greatly. And if you want, you can stick around and network with people, because I see there's a very active chat going on. And our next guest is also from Salesforce. Rahit Arora is 11 times Salesforce certified solutions architect at Salesforce, and he is also engaged in a community. I also reached out to him because I saw how accomplished he is, and I saw the specific, deliberate, diligent steps he took to building his career. So welcome so much, Rahit, and welcome here. Thank you so much for being a part of our saasguru webinar. And question for you: why do you recommend that trailblazers pursue a career in Salesforce ecosystem despite challenges? And what are your 3 tips for new trailblazers just trying to earn certs and get their first job? Welcome, the stage is yours.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me here, Anna. So 3 reasons that I would say is that there are a lot of opportunities in the ecosystem. As Eric was mentioning, there is more demand than we have supply. We have a lot of projects to staff for, and we don't have enough people. And as per the stats, we heard that 9.3 million new jobs will be created by 2026 in the Salesforce ecosystem. So we are growing at a rapid pace, and we need a lot of people. The more the merrier. So please join us. And another thing is the money. Money is a big factor. It's very lucrative career option, and definitely a big reason for you to continue on your journey. Whenever you feel demotivated, think about the opportunity and the money that it brings. The third thing would be the community. The Salesforce Ohana is amazing. Like you reach out to anyone, they're really helpful, and they will help you grow in the ecosystem. So those are my 3 top reasons that why should you continue. And my top 3 tips would be, number 1, don't underestimate yourself. Like it's a very diverse platform. We have different clouds, whether you are from sales or from service or healthcare or education, marketing, oil and gas, telecom, be it any sector, there is place for you. And you bring a lot of value which can be leveraged once you join. So a lot of industry expertise that you bring in, even though you don't know the platform, you bring a lot of value, which is a big asset. Then the second advice would be keep moving. Like just do one trail, take a certification, create a formula, a validation rule, whatever you do, like every little thing counts. Just do one thing every day and you will be far ahead by the end of the year, and hopefully you will have a couple of offers by then. It doesn't really takes a year to find a job. It'll be really quick. And the third advice would be to network. Get involved in the community, reach out to people, and ask questions, offer value. Like if you want to do a project or whatever you are good at, like offer them something in return, and or just ask for help. Like even that works. But yeah, and show genuine interest, like in learning. Like if they're telling you to do something, it's in your interest to do it. So please do it. And that's all on my side.
Thank you so much for sharing this. You know, I just want to comment on the things you said. I might start crying, so please forgive me if I do. I'm a real person. This is very fresh because I was interviewing for a couple of months and I experienced so much rejection. When people hear that I received hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of letters of rejection, they're shocked how I ended up with multiple offers because of rejection. But let me tell you something. When I started learning Salesforce on May 23rd this year, I was behind everybody in my bootcamp, especially when I compare myself with Indian people. Indian people are extremely technical and smart. I grew up without a computer. I grew up super poor. I never had access to a TV or not even anything at all, not technology of any kind. I was way in my 20s when I got my first computer. So when I was in my bootcamp, 138 students globally, I was behind everybody and my head was spinning. I was like, I don't even understand what I'm reading on the screen. What is this about? And I would just feel I cannot do it. It's for those smart people, but this is not for me. And I'm just not gonna ever be able to comprehend this. But I followed this very advice. This is literally what you just heard, Trailblazers, is a description of my journey. I took one small step at a time. And in your brain is neuroplastic. Your brain is not set. Your brain can expand. You can build new neural connections. You can build new concepts and ideas in your brain, but you have to take it one step at a time and be consistent, not give up for 6 months and start from scratch. So even though sometimes I would feel like I'm stupid, I'm just not cut for this, I absolutely cannot do it. And on top of me failing my Sales Cloud exam, I was receiving job rejections as well. So you can imagine that it was very difficult, but I did not give up. And what happened is layer by layer by layer by layer, everything clicked. And I ended up 3 times Salesforce certified in 87 days. I ended up 6 times Salesforce certified in 108 days. And I ended up 8 times Salesforce certified in 152 days. it happened exactly as our guest speaker just described. Little by little, do not give up. But you cannot do this. You cannot stick to this. You cannot persevere through all of these challenges. Many days I cried and I just wanted to give up, but I had a vision. And this, what you just heard, I hope you wrote it down, because I imagined how big Salesforce ecosystem is. I imagined every cloud, and I thought about my career in the past and all my transferable skills. And I believe that there is a place for me where I can add value, because I've built up to this point. Yes, I did not have Salesforce configuration experience, but I had so much. And that is what I started communicating in my job interviews. And that is how I ended up with multiple offers. And it happened through tears. And it happened through a lot of networking. So I thank you so much for sharing this advice. It really is one small step at a time. Just don't give up. Have a vision. Have a vision. Think about how huge Salesforce ecosystem is. Every single day, I watched Dreamforce. And I would take my little YouTube. I don't have a TV. I do not own a TV. I would take YouTube, pause, and on my screen, I would see how many thousands of people are there. I could be one of them. I could be. One day soon, I will be. And you guys, this year, I was invited to speak at Dreamforce. I was chosen, but because I was completely broke, I couldn't pay to go there, and Salesforce did not pay for me to go. So I was not a Dreamforce speaker, but I envision, I'm telling you, have a vision. Where when you have a vision, it's gonna fuel your why. So thank you so very much, Rahid, for being here and sharing this from your heart. This is extremely, extremely relatable and relevant to my journey. And this is truly how it happens, one step at a time. And know your why.
Thanks for having me here. And it's amazing to hear about your journey. I would just want to say that imposter syndrome is very real. Like, everyone feels that you are not just the only one. And I had 15 years of experience when I joined Salesforce, and after I joined, I was feeling the same because everyone else in the room is amazing. So you are bound to feel that, but just keep on believing in yourself and take one day at a time, and that's all.
Thank you so much for saying this. This is huge. I was on the phone with our very own Natasha here, and we were talking about the Slalom Academy. I wanted to work at Slalom Global, and she was so real with me. I asked her, I just want to ask you this personal question. Do you ever feel like an imposter? And what she shared with me shocked me. My eyes were like, because I thought some of these accomplished people I see on LinkedIn, they don't feel like I felt. Because in my career, I used to feel very accomplished and competent and confident. And I was certified in SEO and mobile websites. And I wrote 3 million words of content. And I achieved 7 marketing awards and all of that. But here I was brand new and I felt imposter. And what I learned by asking this question, I was interviewed by many, 24 times certified architects from companies that I'm not going to name. And as I was passing interview stage after interview, architect after architect, I asked each of them, and each of them said, oh, I feel like an imposter every single day. So now at my new job, I am the most junior. So I am the least senior. So everybody knows more than me, has done more than me. So I feel like an imposter every day. And I will say, and I said it last week to you, Trailblazer, get used to feeling comfortable, feeling uncomfortable. And you just heard, let me remind you, who said that? Who said that, the imposter syndrome? This was 11 times Salesforce certified solution architect, Rahid. So not a newbie, but still tells you that you are going to feel like an imposter. I am absolutely grateful for every guest who is here today. I'm done with tip number 2, and that was ask for mentorship and follow your mentor's advice. Even if you don't like it, like Kara advised me to pursue Marketing Cloud, and I said, I don't want to do it. And then I did. So just do it. Tip number 3, complete hands-on challenges, super badges, projects, whatever you can do. Practice Salesforce to gain experience. It doesn't have to be on a job. You have access to all kinds of clouds that you can get for free. Financial services cloud, field service cloud. You can get even marketing cloud now. You can get those dev orgs and get your hands-on experience building something of your own. So our next guest, everybody was talking about him, not naming his name because they were all talking about his situation. It is a former teacher. Did you hear how many recruiters talked about teachers and transferable skills? We have Jonathan Harwell, 2 times Salesforce certified, 2 times Ranger. He's a business analyst at Salesforce Consulting, a Clicked alumni, my favorite place to learn business analysis. I'm a Clicked alumni of apprenticeship as well. He has a master's in education. I really hope you're taking notes, guys, because from what you heard recruiters say, Jonathan is going to now bring it full circle and click it for you. So he's a former teacher and school administrator. And I'll tell you that I also interviewed at Salesforce Consulting. And how did I get an interview there? Because of Jonathan. He said, would you like an introduction? And I said, yes. And next thing I know, I'm interviewing with the next stage and the next stage. Every advice you received today from recruiters works. So Jonathan, thank you so much for being here. I absolutely appreciate you, my brother. And here is a question for you. What role did the hands-on experience from Clicked and your 7 super badges play in you earning the certs, the 2 certs, and getting your dream job 3 months ago?
Anna, thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I feel like a kid at the adult table at the moment, but thank you so much. It's been wonderful to hear all the advice, to see all the people, and then also to see some familiar faces. To answer your question, kind of what did those things do for me? The badges, the experience that I gained on at Clicked. How did that help me in the process? Yeah, it was very helpful to just kind of get a sense of what would I be doing in this next role that I'm interviewing for, and kind of have a leg to stand on and say, when you ask me a question of how you did this, I have something to go back to and say, well, when I did it this way, or when I've experienced this already in my training, this is how I understood it, and this is how I tackled that situation or solved that problem. So it was very helpful to be presented with an issue or a challenge or a problem, and then have to kind of use what I already know through my learning at Trailhead or through my networking, asking questions or research, or like you have put on YouTube videos. Like going out there and just seeking the answers have been very helpful to, talking to people. And like you said, Anna, you're so authentic with your journey, and was really inspired by not just the high points that you celebrated, but also your low points too. Bringing in that authentic, times that you failed, that makes it so much more like you're a hero, but even heroes get knocked down a little bit too. So I appreciate that. So yes, it's been wonderful to get that experience alongside you, but then also to watch you succeed and grow. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I do have a couple more questions for you. So I was able to get interview at Salesforce Consulting because of you, and I got my offer at my current job before I ever was able to wrap up interviews at your company, which is a great company. But how you got job there is also through networking.
That's right. So there's an organization called Talent Stacker that I kind of got hooked into, made aware of, and they kind of have their own little mini Ohana of people that they have kind of gone through the ranks of, professional development, I guess, if you will. And I was networking like crazy, trying to, see everybody and make all the connections and on LinkedIn. And I made a connection on LinkedIn. And one of my connections said, hey, like, Servio, we're my company, we're hiring. And so I said, oh, that's great. Like, that's awesome. And they gave me a referral and said, hey, want to interview? And so I reached out to the COO interviewed, and it was kind of a weird interview process. I would have expected it to go a little bit more straightforward, but it was kind of like all over the place. Like there were some outages. There was the summertime. It was like people on break and coming off a break and vacations in and out. And so I didn't quite get that straight line of, step to step to step, but it was kind of a little bit more of a road less traveled. But yes, the interview process was in fact a referral from a connection that I made on LinkedIn, and then same way, like turned it around to you. And I do want to kind of share one little connection story. I saw a article on a job post board on Trailhead or on a Trailhead post, and somebody was interested in the job that I was interested in, and I had been a connection with that person, and I messaged to the person that had posted the job. I said, hey, this person that's also interested is a world-class individual. You will be really hard-pressed to find someone as good as her. She's a great person. I've been following her for a while now. And she got that job. And she gave me some credit for, hey, say something kind. It does go a long way. So when you have a chance to be kind to someone else, definitely take it. And, make sure that you're, helping others along the way. So definitely give a referral, get a referral.
Before we go, I have one more question for you, but I want to pause right here. And I really hope that Trailblazer, as you're watching and listening to this, you're making mental notes. I hope you're like blown away right now. We have so many recruiters who recruit for many jobs, and they may not know you personally. And then we have Jonathan here, who helped 2 ladies get interviews at his company, me and the other one on Trailhead, right? So did you hear that recruiters said network, network, network? It doesn't just mean with recruiters. It means with the ohana, with people who have jobs. That's why Valerie said, go interview people, ask them what they do, what it's like, and all of that. Now, Jonathan is a business analyst. I am a Salesforce consultant. I love my job at Agency 73 so much. And I know that, Jonathan, you also love your job. Can you reassure Trailblazers that it is possible to land a job you love and work in an environment where you can flourish?
Yes, it is possible. All the advice you've heard so far, I have also tried to follow kind of on my journey. And I believe I started my journey just about the same time as Anna, maybe a little bit before. But we were kind of newbies together going through the ecosystem. And definitely Anna stood out to me as someone that, was a trailblazer, was doing all the things that you've heard today on this call. And so, yes, it is possible. You have to have that dedication. You have to have that, grit, willingness to put in the time. It might not always be glamorous to fumble through things you don't quite understand, but just having that determination to keep going. I kind of liken it to learning a new language, where you might not know all the words at the very beginning. You might not know how the sounds fit together, how to make sentences go to, perfectly. But as you stay with it and continue learning and immersing yourself in that language, you become more familiar with it. And it does eventually click to where you're like, I understand what a object is now. I understand what that field is, or field level security, those types of little things that you don't quite get right off the bat, where it seems overwhelming. That's normal, and that is supposed to happen, but don't let that freak you out. Don't let that scare you. Keep going, believe in yourself, and stick with it, and it is possible. So yes, Anna, thank you so much for having me on, for sure.
Jonathan, you are so very welcome. I consider you my brother from another mother, my Ohana brother. And thank you so much for giving me a referral for the job and offering it to me and speaking so positively about me, that your company moved me forward and forward. And thank you so much for being you, because you are authentic and you are also very kind. When I thought about the word, like, what is this that I feel this warm feelings toward Jonathan? You're very kind, and I appreciate you also keeping me informed about how my videos on YouTube. Anna Szabo is my YouTube channel. I have videos, many videos for trailblazers to help you on your journey, and you kept me informed how my videos helped you earn your certification. So I appreciate you. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, ma'am, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
I have one more speaker, but before we bring her on stage, which is going to blow your mind, you're about to laugh and you're about to have so much fun. But before I do, I do want to mention that saasguru, which is a community where we are right now, this is who is hosting this event. saasguru has shown an incredible leadership in our Trailblazer community by inviting me to do this series of webinars, also having an active Slack channel, and also you guys will not believe what kind of exam prep they just launched this week. Nobody has anything like this anywhere. CPQ now has an exam prep at saasguru, and you can use the coupon code Anna20 to sign up for saasguru and start practicing your CPQ, which people fail repeatedly because there has never been a prep course for this, but now saasguru has it. Also, I would like to mention to you that there is currently going on a nomination for Salesforce MVPs. And if you would like to nominate me, I have a Twitter profile at Anna Szabo JD MBA, and you know my LinkedIn link. You can find easily my Trailblazer profile. And if you nominate me for Salesforce MVP by completing the application Salesforce offers to you, I would appreciate it greatly, especially if you share from the heart how I contributed to your Trailblazer journey. So this is a message to absolutely everybody on this call. And now I am going to blow your mind because we are about to party, y'all. We're about to party, and I mean it. We're about to sing and dance. Let me introduce to you Elizabeth Appleknapp, recently certified Salesforce. Where is Elizabeth? Pratik, where? Team saasguru, can we please bring Elizabeth here? Okay, that's Jonathan, not Elizabeth. All right, everybody, let me introduce to you Elizabeth Appleknapp, recently certified Salesforce admin. And when I say recently, I mean just right now she got certified, literally right now she got certified. She earned her certification this month. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, this month is November 2022. This is when this Trailblazer became certified. She is a mom. I believe you're a mom, right? You had a career break. No, you have a household. You were moving. I'm sorry.
I'm a dog mom.
Yes, she is a former music therapist, currently looking for her first Salesforce job, and she is a YouTuber at Salesforce and Songs. Question: what resources did you, Elizabeth, use to effectively prepare for your admin certification, which you passed successfully just now, and how helpful were your hands-on challenges, super badges, practice exams, and whatever else you use? The stage is yours.
Yes, so thank you for having me, Anna, and for that introduction. I used a lot of practice exams. That was really, really helpful for me to give me the timing, you know, watching the timer on the screen to help with the structure, and also to get used to the wording, because that sometimes I felt like they were specifically trying to confuse me with the wording. So I had to be really aware of what I was reading. And also a lot of the things that I did, I kind of failed at one point just figuring out, okay, watching long videos doesn't work for me. Like I tried to do a course watching long videos. Someone was talking in a monotone voice. I just couldn't do it. I'd fall asleep. I couldn't focus. So I changed the way I was studying. I started looking at slideshows and reading off of them, doing index cards. And also from my background, because I was a music therapist, I've worked a lot with people who have problems with memory. And so I would take those concepts and I'd turn them into songs to help me really memorize the material, because I would use that so much with clients, and I kind of treated myself as my own client. And like when you wake up in the morning and you have a song stuck in your head and you can't get it out, that's kind of how it is when you use music to study. So it's really helped me. And super badges, obviously, are helpful. Trailhead, Salesforce Help really helped me, looking at all the different considerations they had, all the little tidbits of information you might not get anywhere else. Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth, I saw you first on LinkedIn, and I was like, wait, what is this? She is singing a song about what? At that very time, my mentor from Optima, Victor, asked me to prepare order of execution, and I had a hard time memorizing. And when I saw you singing this, I thought, this is crazy good. I am a poet, so I'm very familiar with things just flowing out of you when you are creative in whichever way. I write poetry about tech. Yes, I wrote poetry about many software companies. And when I saw it, I thought, this is so brilliant. And then I recently saw your video on YouTube, on your brand new YouTube channel, Salesforce and Songs. And I reached out to you and sent you a connection request to invite you to speak at my event. And immediately you said, wow, Anna, you helped me on my journey. You influenced so many people in the Trailblazer community. And I was like, what? I don't know. We never talked. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I had seen, that you had gotten, what was it, eight times certified in 152 days or whatever days. It was amazing to me. And I said, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So I was watching your post and just lurking on there, liking your things. And I just thought it was so cool. I probably should have reached out sooner, but yeah, I just thought that it was amazing. And I loved how real you were, and you showed, the good times and the bad times. It's easy to just post about, I did this thing, I got a super badge, everything's so great. It's harder to say, I'm having a hard time with this one thing, for sure.
Yes. Well, Elizabeth, I know you prepared a surprise for everybody here, and let us hear it. Bring it on.
Okay. I have my guitar.
Let's clap, everybody.
All right. So this is the order of execution song. So I couldn't remember the order for the life of me, and I also couldn't remember where the trigger was. So that is where I came up with this song to help me memorize it. And the first letter, it's Vada Awepe. So the first letter is for each event. It doesn't make sense, but it's fine. Vada Awepe. Yeah, it sounds kind of messy, but validation, duplicate rules. Yeah, they happen. It's pretty cool. Look now, here comes a trigger. Look now, here comes a trigger. Assignment rules, auto response rules, workflow rules. Yeah, we're at the WebA part. Escalation rules, processes / flows, and entitlement rules. Vada Awepe. Yeah, it sounds kind of messy, but it's the order of execution. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Elizabeth. And I would like to say one last thing as far as my tips for Trailblazers, and that is have fun. The journey is hard. Have fun and do it your way, because like you heard from Elizabeth, everybody's way may not be your way. I blazed my own trail. And like you heard from Lisa, that you really, if you have an opportunity that you can afford to do volunteer projects, you should do them. But I didn't have an opportunity to volunteer. I needed a job, and I couldn't do it how other people did it. I had to do it my own way. And Elizabeth, you did it your way. You are definitely welcome at this webinars. We have 2 more, and I thank you so much for being willing to sing and play. This just literally made my day, because this means so much to me. I love singing, and I love music, and I love dancing, and this is very human. So I appreciate you, and especially this creative way of making something so difficult and complex relate to you in the way you are. I'm a poet, you're a musician. I believe everybody should absolutely do it. Thank you so much.